Hey guys, and welcome back to a brand new video and another episode of my F1 2019 career mode here today for round 3 of season 3 for the Chinese Grand Prix. And if you guys missed round 2 for the Bahrain Grand Prix, then go watch it by clicking the link in the top right hand corner of the screen, guys. It was a tough race. And, the first of 3 tough races, Bahrain, China, and Baku, we're going to really struggle around these. And if you want to watch the last episode, go watch it by clicking the link in the top right-hand corner before jumping to any spoilers, which is always a big thing. But in this one, we're here at China. You can see we've got rain in both the qualifying and the race, which is going to really mix things up and make it quite interesting. And also, no major upgrades, really, just minor ones for now. Red Bull putting away slightly at the top of the table. We're still saving up points because we want to try and make an investment going into the Spanish Grand Prix, preferably. So we're just going to try and hold on for now and see if the car can, do the job by itself as we move into the round 3 and round 4 respectively. But jumping into practice then at China this weekend, we are running 108% AI, and the reason for that is because I tried practice, and even on 108 I was still 0.6 off of Pierre Gasly after the qualifying simulation runs, which is a massive amount. So yeah, we also failed the qualifying pace challenge as well by around 0.6 as well. And yeah, generally 108 is just perfect for me around here because it's still very challenging. 110 is just impossible. I'm 2 seconds off the pace, of my own teammate, let alone the Red Bull. So yeah, hopefully you guys can understand that as we jump into qualifying here. And it is raining in Shanghai, and it's going to be the first, I believe, start to wet quali in quite a while. And overall, it's going to make things quite interesting in terms of strategy. And we're going to see how long this rain persists. Will it last the entirety of Q1? Or, will it last into Q2, or will it just be a lot shorter? Now, going into the session, I felt confident. I made a few adjustments. I put a little bit more front and rear wing on because of the rain in the race as well. So generally, I want a car that's a bit more flexible and a bit better in the wet conditions, to be honest, because that's going to be my opportunity to really, outperform the AI around here, because this isn't my strongest track. Therefore, we're going to need that extra performance. And overall, I feel confident going into this session because even though the pace isn't there, the wet conditions are going to give me an opportunity to try and pull something at the bag and potentially upset a couple of people. So yeah, we're going to jump to qualifying here, and Q1 was wet for the entirety of the session. I went out with about 4 minutes to go, and I quickly realised I made a mistake because the track wasn't quite there yet. A few cars went out on dryers, and you'll see here, this was the start of my time lap with 2 minutes to go. I still have enough time to go for another lap after this, and I had that in the back of my mind just in case. So as I went to turn 1, I felt the grip, and the car was sliding a little bit. There was some understeer still on the racetrack. You see I went really, really wide there, and I was kind of taking mental notes, and I said to myself, right, I'm going to do the first sector, see how it feels, and if I'm not happy, I'm going to back off. And in the end, I was not happy with the first couple of corners. There wasn't much grip. However, we were quickest, so I knew there was more time to gain. So I backed off, and I knew I had enough time, so I cooled everything down, turned the engine down, and we're going to have a slow lap here and wait for one more lap, because we're going to cross the line as the last car, and we're going to get the advantage of the best possible track. And I know that we can improve, and there's a lot of cars in the pit lane as well, so if we improve here, it should be a slam dunk Q2. So straight away through turn 1, you can see the difference on the next lap as we find 3 to 4 tenths just by hugging the inside line, not understeering wide this time. And overall, it was a really good decision I made to just back off that first hot lap and wait for the second one, as we had enough time and enough fuel as well to pull it off. And you can see here a massive gain in the first sector alone, and we are quickest here, 4 tenths up on Magnussen through sector 1. However, there's a couple of people that are yet to set a lap time. I think Verstappen's yet to set a lap, the Ferrari's yet to set a lap, so things could change, but so far so good through sector 1 as we now go into sector 2, all through these kind of like long corners, my 2 favourite corners on the track, these 2 kind of lefts and rights, and now into these very tricky double lefts, which are probably my least favourite corners on the racetrack because it's so hard to get the power down. Quickly though, onto the power though, on the back straight, and now look for the 50-metre board for your reference into the end of sector 2, into the start of sector 3 as Verstappen sets the pace, and we're now 2 tenths down on the Red Bull. But still, look at this lap, we're improving massively here, and obviously at this point we had backed off on the previous attempt, so the delta's no longer really relevant. All we need to know is that we found nearly a second in sector 1 alone. That is a massive advantage, as we're going to be the last car across the line here, so hopefully this lap will be enough to get us through into Q2. Verstappen currently with a 29.6, setting the pace as we brake late for the hairpin here, down to first gear, just taking it easy, and then quickly back on the power on the exit. 1 more corner to go at this point, just don't ruin the lap, keep it nice and tidy, and don't ruin your chance to get into Q2. So we cross the final corner, clipping the inside bollard, and then opening up the RS across the line, and that lap is going to be enough to get us into Q2 very comfortably as we get 3rd place in Q1. 3 tenths off of Verstappen, and they're pretty much neck and neck with Sebastian Vettel and Sergio Perez. But overall, a decent Q1. The bad news is Pierre Gasly got knocked out in P17, unfortunately for him. So he's going to be starting way down the order, and he got his timing wrong. He actually completed his first time lap, which is the one that I would have done, but I bailed on it. So that goes to show the difference in the track conditions, you know. But in Q2, there was kind of rain still in the air, so I went out straight away because I didn't know if the rain was going to get better or worse. So I just went out straight away and tried to set a lap, and I gave myself a little bit of space to the Red Bull on the out lap, also making sure I didn't overheat the tyres. But now we're going to push here for a full lap of the Shanghai circuit because the conditions might not be any better in this session. So here we go, towards turn 1, the Ferrari's going to get in our way, unfortunately for us, and we have to kind of take away a little bit of speed and slow down a little bit more through turn 1 just to avoid the contact and kind of tuck in and get a bit of a tighter line just so we can go down the inside. So we lost a little bit of time there behind the Ferraris. We couldn't get the power now out of turn 2, and now up towards turns 4 and 5 here, flat out through 4, down towards 5, braking at the 100 meter board and down to first gear if you need it. And overall, this lap was an interesting one because it was my best lap of Q2 because the conditions did get worse, so that was a good thing for me. But the lap in itself, I gave the track way too much respect. Even though the rain's coming down, there was a lot more grip, and I was being way too cautious because you just never know when the track's going to bite. But I was overall just way too cautious. I could have pushed a lot more here, like a proper dry weather lap, and that was kind of annoying to me because I knew that I kind of might be vulnerable because there's a lot of cars on the lap at the moment, and my lap isn't exactly the benchmark. You'll see now when we cross the line, you know, we're quite way off the pace after 2 sectors because, like I said, I was being too cautious, giving the track far too much respect, you know, with the conditions, and I should have definitely taken a much more of a risk on this one, especially considering it's my only lap. But in the back of my mind, of course, I'm thinking to myself, if I get into Q3, I'm going to have to start the race on these tyres, so I've got to try and push but keep these tyres at the same time, so it's kind of a double-edged sword, and to find the balance is very, very difficult as Verstappen sets the pace there in the 1:28s now, so that's more of a representative lap time. As we go through the final corner here, and you can see as we cross the line, we're going to go about 1.6 off of Verstappen's time there. Luckily for us, others did improve, however, not everybody improved, and we managed to get to Q3 in 9th place by the skin of our teeth, and that lap wasn't great. But the timing, you know, by going out straight away, the second car after Verstappen proved to be critical. And we get ourselves into Q3 for the first time since Australia. So there you go. Overall, a decent Q2, and we managed to avoid the conditions. The bad news is we are going to have to start the race on soft tyres, which is the last thing you want around here, really. You know, in hindsight, I probably would have liked to have got P11, to be honest, because the free choice of tyre around here is really, really beneficial, and you can make a big difference in the race. But in terms of Q3, we went out on our first one. We've got 2 sets of fresh tyres to use, so we used our first ones, our 29.5, not the best, sorry, 29.0, and not the best lap there, but still P8. I know I can improve. There's a bit more lap time in that one, so we're going to try and go again and see if we can try and improve our lap definitively. As we go through the final corner then, we're going to get up to speed and push as hard as we can. So sunny conditions now come out towards the end of qualifying. We're going to give it everything on this lap, and we're going to see how we get on. As we go towards turn 1 then, turn in at the 50 meter board, really try and commit and keep a nice tight line through 1 if possible. Use the gears to really get the rotation. You're barely touching the brake through here, you just let the car roll through, you know, just coast pretty much. Through turn 2, keep it nice and tight, quickly in the power on the exit. Use all the curb on the outside there to really maximise your traction and also your, you know, get the throttle down, and then down on the brakes in towards turn 5. Pick a bit of a front right lock up there, which is what I did on my previous run as well. So both times they're struggling to slow the car down and potentially losing about a tenth, maybe a tenth and a half of a second there. But still, we are up on our previous best as the checker flag drops, committing to these long lefts and rights, and now into the double lefts here, these rotary corners where I lose a lot of time to the AR through here. But so far, we're looking pretty good, and a tenth and a half up, nearly 2 tenths up here as we go towards the start of sector 3. And unfortunately for us, I made a little bit of a mistake here, locking up. I tried to push the brakes a bit, got a bit hot. We are 3.5 tenths up, but then I lost a bit on the change of direction because I ran so deep, and my deficit was actually cut to about a tenth of a second, unfortunately. So again, I reckon I dropped about a tenth and a half, maybe a tenth of a second again there. So on an ideal lap, we're about a tenth or 2 down. I'd say about 2 tenths, to be honest, down on what would be the ideal lap as we go towards the hairpin, braking at the 100 meter board, down to first gear, pick up your apex, and nice and easy on the power here, really try and maximise and get some clean traction, and then a quick screw out the throttle as we go to the walls of the final corner, down a couple of gears, really attacking the inside curve. They're taking the bollard with us as we open up the RS, and we are going to find a heap of time through the final corner and improve our lap, and eventually we would finish in P5. So overall, a decent Q3. I think Perez wasn't attainable, like we couldn't beat him today. He was too quick. Even with the ideal lap, I think we would have been about half a tenth to a tenth of a second off him. So overall, P5, the best we could have done, and I'm happy with that one, and hopefully we can make something happen with the strategy tomorrow, because there is a chance of rain in the race, so that can make things very, very spicy. But Verstappen on pole and Vettel on the front row with him, and overall a decent qualifying for us, not so much for Gasly. But that is your grid for the Chinese Grand Prix. We're now going to move into the race of round 3 of season 3. Let's jump into it.
Are you happy with where you'll be on the grid tomorrow? The weather hasn't been ideal in qualifying. What's your take on it? Great. Well, that's everything.
It's time to find out which driver is up to the task of claiming the Chinese Grand Prix. We're here in Shanghai. Shanghai International Circuit then, a 16-corner high-speed thrill ride. The long and ever-tightening right-hander at turns 1 and 2 tests a driver's patience, and the flat, open to the elements location, tests their skill in a crosswind. 2 DRS zones will assist passing, and overtaking is available into turn 1 and of course down the kilometre-long back straight into the hairpin at turn 14. And it's an absolute pleasure to be joined once again by Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Mercedes. We have a number of changes to the aerodynamic regulations this year, and the sides haven't looked good for them so far in terms of getting to grips with those changes.
There are a few downcast looks within the team this weekend. I think they've been hit fairly hard by the new regs, but this is only the first step down a long road of development, and even if they don't maximise their points today, there are plenty more up for grabs this season.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he starts from pole position. And starting alongside him P2 is Sebastian Vettel. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Leclerc, Perez, Martinez and Hamilton, Magnussen, Bottas, Ricciardo and Kimi Raikkonen, Sainz, Norris, George Russell and Kvyat, Albon, Hülkenberg, Pierre Gasly and Antonio Giovinazzi. Grosjean and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Right, so here we are then on the grid for the Chinese Grand Prix, starting from P5 on the third row. And overall, I want to try and push into that top 4. I think the race pace could be a little bit better here today. Tyre overheating does concern me, I can't lie, it's going to be a problem for us. It's probably the worst track for it, or one of the worst tracks, and there's no way to really cool them down, especially on the soft tyre, so we might struggle with that. Therefore, our first stint could be very short. Now, I've got two options here. I can race as if the rain wasn't going to arrive, or I can bank on the rain. And the two options are, I start the race on the soft, of course I don't have a choice there unfortunately, and I commit to the original strategy, which is soft, medium, medium. Or I get on the softs, and then once I pit, I go into the hard tyres and just wait for the rain. And I do kind of fancy that strategy. I fancy taking a gamble and, you know, chancing on some rain. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to adjust the second strategy here, and I'm going to make some adjustments. I'm going to shorten the first into just 3 laps. I don't want to be on the soft tyre for any time at all, really. It's a horrible tyre to be on. And we're going to adjust the stint, so we'll go for the hards in the second stint here. So in theory, if I can just drag this out as long as it needs to go, there we go, lap 25, that's fine. That's what we're going to go for. Now, I'm going to ask on the radio in the race, and I'll adjust my strategy accordingly, pretty much. But these are the two options. So we either go to the end on the hards, you know, or go into the inters possibly, or go for the 2-stopper on mediums. Even this one, I think I'm going to adjust this one to maybe, can I do 3 laps here? Not quite. I'll do lap 4 because that's fine. I can manage that. So that's what we'll do. Those are the two strategy options. Fuel-wise, we're running the lowest possible fuel, and that's still 1.2 laps over. So overall, very tasty stuff and no complaints really. But we're going to go for the selected second strategy for now and hopefully bank on some rain. So with that being said, let's jump into it and let's see how the race goes. It's time for the Chinese Grand Prix. Here we go then. We're going to build up the revs for the start of the race here at Shanghai. Lights out, and away we go. Not a bad start. I've got a car trying to look down the inside. I'm free wide here. I've just got to hold it. Hamilton trying to barge his way through. He does hit me on the right-hand side. We're going to go the long way round, though, and try and come back at Hamilton here. Down the inside now of turn 2. We do get the position back as Perez makes the move on the Ferraris here. Verstappen, meanwhile, already starting to run away and put daylight between himself and the competition. Just going to tuck in here. There's contact between Perez and Vettel there. Sparks kicking up. And they're still side by side as we're going towards sector 2. This could get very tasty. But it looks like Vettel's just got the measure of him and taking it down the inside. So Vettel holds up the second place and fends off Perez for now. As we're tucked in behind Leclerc, very important to not lock up. That's going to help us out with tyre temperatures as we pick up an incredible amount of dirty air there. Couldn't do nothing about that, just completely understeered off the track. Luckily we didn't get a warning because I think I actually lost time, to be honest, so that's good news. But so far so good. As we go to the banking, let's test out our top end speed and let's see if we can compete here today. I'm curious to see what this Williams has in store and how it matches up against other cars, and straight away looks like we are struggling a little bit as the Ferrari walks away on the straight, as does the Racing Point of course, but the Mercedes behind isn't catching, so that's good news as well. Oh, that was close. We are going to get a switchback on Leclerc because we got so close, putting some pressure on the Monegasque driver. Through the final corner we go, end of lap 1, and that's a good start from us, no complaints there. Good aggressive driving, good pressure being put onto the cars in front, but now we've got to focus on the race and start inquiring about the weather conditions.
Check your MFD for a new strategy option. Copy.
Okay, so the game says lap 7 on hards. I'll keep an eye on that. As we go on to lap 3, DRS will be enabled now.
Okay, entering lap 3 now. DRS has been enabled.
Lewis attacking me down the outside. We're going to hold the inside line. Lewis is going the long way around here, but that's probably not going to happen. We'll hold it quite nicely. I just looked at my tyres and the temperatures look fine at the minute. Much better than I anticipated. All of them below 100 degrees Celsius, which is fantastic. So we're hanging in there at the minute. So it could come down to tyre wear possibly, but that is good. And so we've got Vettel, Perez and Leclerc still battling away here in front of us. As long as they're stuck together, that's fine. I don't think we're going to win the race today, but if we can just get another podium and keep that consistency, that'd be good. At the minute, Perez is my nearest challenger in the championship, not Verstappen, so we need to keep an eye on Perez, to be honest. But so far, I've asked on the radio, and nothing's happening. So at the minute, I'm leaning towards staying out at least one more lap, because the tyres are holding on, and I can definitely pull that off, so we're going to commit to that for now. I really am in two minds as to what strategy to go for here. I'm going to ask for the weather one more time on the back straight, and then I'm going to make my decision. Front left is overheating now. I'm struggling for any kind of grip.
No rain expected. No rain expected for the time being. Dries seem like the best tyre for now.
Right. I'm going to go for the hard tyre. I'm going to commit to it. I'm going to hope the rain arrives. I'm going to bank on some rain. Even though there's nothing on the radio, I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to take a big gamble, so we're going to pit in. Into the pit lane we go. Good entry there. Now we've got to get it slowed down. There we go. Right then. Let's see if this pays off or not. Hard tyres. We're going to just go very, very long in this race. I might not have the pace. I might be struggling, but hopefully it will all be worth it. Especially if the AI go for the medium tyres. If the AI go for hards, it could screw me over. But here we go.
Complete. Go now.
1.8. There we go. Clean stop.
Up to speed now. Let's get some heat into those tyres.
We rejoin just in front of Giovinazzi there, who I believe has got wing damage. The good news is these tyres won't overheat. That's one big positive, so we can just push on these all the time, which is good. Hopefully we can switch them on and really make them work. Right then, let's get a head down and try and have some good race pace on these tyres. Okay, Bottas pits in the Mercedes. Onto the medium tyres. Perez in front of us, he's pitting for mediums as well, so this is good. If the AI are two-stopping and the rain does arrive and it backfires, that's my chance. That's what I'm banking on, so hopefully there's a few of those two-stoppers. There's no way Perez is going to be in the medium, so let's see how this progresses.
We're expecting rain in around 10 to 15 minutes. Dries seem like the fastest tyre at the moment.
Okay, there we go. Finally, let's see how that one progresses. We're keeping an eye on the weather, of course. There's lots of cars pit in. Hopefully, we've made the right call. I really do. I've got Perez in front of me as a reference, so as long as I can keep pace with him, I know I'm doing pretty well. The Ferrari's yet to pit, so potentially they could be going to the hard tyres around lap 7. As we've got cars in the pit lane here, so we're going to get in a few places and hopefully jump back into the top 10 possibly. No, not quite. P13 as Hamilton goes into the hards in the Mercedes. And Ferrari has rejoined just in front of Perez there, so Perez hasn't been able to undercut the Ferrari even on fresh mediums. And I think that Ferrari is on hards, so interesting strategies here.
Expect to see some rain about 10 to 15 minutes from now.
There we go. That's the official message. That's not me asking, that's the game telling me, so take that message as a more serious idea as to where the rain is. Let's hope it swings in my favour, whatever way that may be. Oh, yellow flag. Someone's going to slow down. I think it's Leclerc. Yes, Leclerc. Engine blowout for the Ferrari. That's going to give me a position, a net position. Thank you very much. Safety car VSC, will we get anything? Looks like we won't.
Green flag.
But Leclerc there blowing up right in front of us. Up to P12 now, and we've got Perez just in front behind the Renault. And Sebastian just pit on that last lap. He's just in front of the Renault, so he's starting to pull away. So far so good. We're currently, I think it would be a net P4. I think I just missed out on DRS on Lance Stroll there. 1.2 behind at the sector split. Yeah, we don't have DRS just yet. I'm going to try and line him up for a move though. We should get a bit of a tow. We're close enough, I think. I'm very happy with the pace. We're keeping up with Perez quite nicely considering he's on the mediums. We do have the race pace, which is good to see. Much better than last season. We really struggled for race pace around here, but this is much better. The hard tire's working well, and it's allowing me to just drive at a good pace. We've now got DRS on Stroll here, so hopefully we can make an easy pass on him. Let's see if we can pass him somewhere that doesn't cost me too much time. I wonder if I can get him into turn 5, possibly, if I get a good exit. I guess we'll find out, see how good my tyres really are. A little bit oversteer there, that's not going to help. Yeah, we're too far back, I think, unfortunately. I'm going to turn the engine up, but no, we're not close enough. We're just waiting for the back straight, probably. Right, then let's get this moved on. This time we're tucked in behind him nicely. Bit of a train in front, forming, so we need to try and get past, get the slingshot, and try and push on, because Perez and Vettel are going to get held up a little bit by traffic. Here we go then. Looks like Stroll's actually turning his engine up here, so we're going to have to turn ours up. I wasn't thinking I would need to, but he's giving it some of the Renault. We're struggling to get to the back of him here, but we are gaining now. Down the inside we go. Avoiding him going around the outside by running it a little bit deeper on the brakes than I normally would. And there we go, job done up to P11. Just on the cusp of points. Let's push on after Perez and Sebastian, who are tucked in traffic all the way through sector 1 it seems. Okay, Sebastian and Perez have made the move on Grosjean. They've still got to get past the Renault, who they're going to be stuck behind, and we're gaining quite a nice amount of time here as they're stuck through the traffic, which is good for us. Again, our strategy's looking good here. Sebastian's on the hards. I know Verstappen's on mediums out front, but I'm not sure how far ahead he is. So really my competition in this race could be Sebastian Vettel. Okay, I think I might have just nicked Grosjean's DRS there. I'll turn the engine up just to see if I can get within a second. Have we done it? Yes, we have. There we go. I can tell already he's not running a particularly high engine mode here, so we might have a chance in towards the hairpin. We're gaining. I don't think it's going to be enough though. Just towards the hairpin we're going to put the pressure on as Gasly pits. That means Grosjean could pit.
Pierre is in the pits.
That's why we're not going to commit to a move here, and there we go. Grosjean does pit. I was going to go for the switchback there, but that would have put me on the outside, and that's not where you want to be. Right then, we're going to gain a handful of places here. As everybody pits in. Up to P5, there we go. Perez and Sebastian remain in front of us, as does Verstappen. Perez and Vettel side by side here. The battle for the podium as the remaining Haas, I believe, here, Lando Norris pits in. There we go, P4. And Perez and Vettel still battling away here. This is good news for us, so it gives me a chance to close the gap a bit. Pace is so similar between all of us in this race. It really is so close. And they're still side by side. This is good for us. Let's try and push. Also, Russell behind me is actually really starting to catch me up now. I've realised he's actually got some decent pace. Obviously, my hard tyre is a couple laps more worn than everybody else's.
The rain is a few laps out yet, but it is coming. Be careful.
Okay, there we go then. That was quick. It went from 10 to 15 minutes to a couple laps out. Hopefully, Perez pits though. We need him to come in, and that would give me a net P3 in this race. And then obviously going into the Inters, I fancy my chances of getting past Sebastian Vettel. So hopefully we can time this right. And the gamble pays off. Sebastian's going to try and re-overtake Perez here, so this is good news again for us to try and close the gap. I'm going to use the rest of my fuel up now to really try and push on. There we go, Perez pits. There it is, I was waiting for that. Up to P3 we go, net P3. Oh, Verstappen's in as well. I forgot about that, he was a medium, so we're net P2. We could win this race, I've just realised all of a sudden. Sebastian in front, I've got a similar pace to him. If we're going to the Inters now, it could happen. Russell's really catching behind me though. He's going to be a threat if it doesn't start to rain soon, because he's going to be my gearbox in like 2 laps. Right then, now we need the rain to arrive. So far the stars have aligned in terms of strategy, and now we need the rain to fall. Okay, Russell's going to get DRS here. He's got pace. Oh, I think I just saw a raindrop. There we go. The rain's starting to fall. Incredible timing. Let's try and keep Russell behind us. I'm going to use up the rest of my fuel here. Right then. If the rain falls like Australia did, it's going to be a very quick turnover. I've already got the Inters selected. We are going to set for one more lap because obviously it's a bit early yet for the Inters. But let's see how the weather conditions progress. Hopefully it's Inters next lap, and then that would really help me out.
Happy that we're on the right tyres at the moment.
Bit of a corner cut there. Warning for track extension. The rain is coming down with relatively decent intensity, so it could change really quickly. Verstappen's queuing up behind as well. This could be Inters straight away this lap, you know that. I'm going to select them.
Understood, stopping this lap.
I can feel the track going already. This is going to be a quick turnover again, I think. The track's starting to go now quite quickly. I'm going to pit this lap.
A new strategy is available on the MFD.
There it is.
Copy that.
Right, now we've got to stay in front of these Red Bulls. They're both behind me here. They're both queuing up for the move. DRS is still enabled, unfortunately for us. There goes Russell. One of the Red Bulls is going to have to take the short straw, though, when it comes to strategy. I want to go back around the outside here. Try my luck. We're going to pit in whatever happens, so into the pit box we go. Into the pit lane. Oh, a bit of a lock up there. Right on Russell's gearbox. Oh, some oversteer and a half, that is. Get it all slowed down, there we go. Right, we can still recover this. Vettel might get held up here, possibly. No, he doesn't, that's a shame. I was hoping he got held up there. Right, quick turnaround from the boys, and we can maybe get back in front of Russell here, possibly. Come on, here we go.
Go, go, go. You'll be racing on the exit.
Oh, wow.
Release.
Damn it.
That was our last stop. No more scheduled pit stops.
I thought we had him there, but we just rejoined into Russell. But I think we've got the grip here already. Look at the difference. Russell's slow. I had a look, but he's going to close the door on me. I knew that was going to happen. He's slow. We've got the advantage here straight away. The setup work I did is going to pay off here. We've got the run on Russell. Can we go down the inside on the brakes? Oh, he's going to turn into me there. I've got to take evasive action.
Okay, the stewards have now disabled DRS. DRS is now disabled.
Why do they always do that, man? They always turn in on you. It's so annoying. Let's try and get past Russell quickly here, because I can smell a win, and I want it. Car's sliding all over the place at the moment. I'm going to overheat my tyres at this rate, and I am. My left rear is cooking. Got to be careful. Russell's pulled away. That was my chance. Now I've got to let my tyres cool off, and I've got to try and go again, but this is going to cost me a couple of laps. Although that struggling racing point might just help me out a little bit. My rear is overheating, it's making it so hard for me to get any kind of traction. They'll get a chance to cool off here though, as Russell goes for the move. That racing point holding its own. We're going to go through on the inside line. Russell down the inside, we're going to follow. There we go, he opens the door for me. Oh my god.
Is in for his stop.
Wow, Gazzy had to do another lap. That's going to be no points for him again here today. That's annoying, very annoying. There's Verstappen in the pit lane as well, so he's out of contention. Right, let's try and get past Russell here. I want to get this moved on. I'll at least get second place, because it's been nicked from me, it's been stolen from nothing. Can I get the traction here? Yes, I do. I'm a little bit far back though, unfortunately. Put some pressure on, but still nothing happening. I've got no chance of getting Russell on the straight. He gets perfect traction. I lose about a second. So I've no chance of me getting him here, especially without DRS. So it's going to have to happen somewhere else.
Okay, I think the track will be drying out quite soon. Mind you don't burn out your tyres.
Okay, that's interesting. Really close to Russell this lap though. We're close here, but then he's just going to start to pull away, unfortunately. I'm trying to get the power down. But we just lose so much ground. If I had DRS, I'd have a chance, but I don't have DRS, so we're so far away. Unless Russell's got the engine turned down, it's not going to happen. We're hardly gaining on the straight, unfortunately for us. but I am closer, so I can make something happen into turn 1. That's what I think is going to happen. Here we go. Getting a good exit. I'm going to turn it up to hot lap mode through the final corner. Nice and tidy on traction, that will do. Let's just get nice and close, and I can maybe get underneath him at turn 2. This is it. We're close. Front end tuck in. Come on. Not quite. I really thought that was my chance. Let's stay close. Let's keep the pressure on. I'm going to try again here. It's sector 1 where it's going to happen. I'm not really close enough anywhere else. Getting very close into 2. But I'm not going to commit to it this time. I'm going to try and set him up for the exit out of 3. But he just gets such good traction. He opens up such a gap, I can't get close enough. It's so frustrating. It's the story of the AI in this game. Because they've got traction control coded in, it's just impossible to get any kind of good exit. Unless you've got godlike straight line speed, you're not going to do anything. Oh, come on. I can't believe a raceman was there, but I just lost the position to Russell on the in-lap, which was really annoying. I could have been pushing in clean air after Sebastian Vettel, but instead I can't get past the Red Bull. Okay, the rain has stopped. Could there be another twist in the tail? Could we go back onto the dries, possibly? This could get interesting. Gotta keep an eye on the weather. If DRS got re-enabled now, that would give me a chance. If DRS got enabled now, I could get past. We're catching Sebastian Vettel, but not enough. So it's a battle for second. I just can't get close enough out of traction zones. Literally, nowhere. I'm nowhere near him. Russell just gets too much traction. My best place, the closest I get, is here to turn 2, but he closes the door on me every single time. Even if, like you saw on the outlap, what happens? It happens all the time. So it's going to be tricky. I'd love to out of here, but I just can't match him for really any major traction. Verstappen's flying behind me. He's really catching up here. We may lose the podium possibly if we're not careful. These conditions don't suit me now because the AI is so good on traction. I can't match, and I overheat my tyres. The slightest bit of overdriving. Surely the DRS must get enabled now. We're so close. There's literally no more spray on the track. The tyres are going to overheat. I could go for dryers. It could be a gamble worth taking, but if there's another lap, like 2 more laps, I'd go for it, but there's only 1 lap to go, so we've got to hold on. It's going to be a very intense...
DRS has been enabled. DRS is now enabled.
See, I think it's a bit too late, because I'm just not close enough, unfortunately. Just when I needed it, Russell's just got more pace than me now. I can't get it. The timing's off. I need to have an incredible lap here, which I'm not going to have. I think Verstappen's going to get by if I'm not careful, so let's be careful here. Last lap of the race.
Less than a lap of fuel now. The tank is empty.
I've literally just got no traction at all compared to the AI. Max is looking very quick here, and I'm all over the place. This is going to be very tricky. I think I might lose the podium here, boys. I'm not confident. Through that banking, Max is going to just run past me. This is a battle now. We're surviving to hold the podium. Come on, come on. This is where I'm really slow. These 2 corners here. I can't get no traction down whatsoever. Max is close. Oh no, big lock up. That's Verstappen. Pressure invited. I've just got to keep him behind somehow. Just got no grip at all now in these conditions. The AI are supreme. There we go, on the power then. It's going to be a drag race. I don't have DRS, Max does. I'm going to tuck back into the toe. Can I get anything out of this? Hot on the brakes down the inside. Run it a bit wide, but we are going to get it back somehow. I slowed the car down as Norris retires, and we've done it. Through the final corner, I think we should be okay to hold on to this. On the power quickly. There we go, across the line now. We are going to get 3rd, and I'll take that.
Great work. Well done. We're really happy with the podium here.
So, another excellent win from Ferrari. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, I know it's a bit of a boring answer, but the truth is they simply had the best speed package on the day, and a driver who knows how to take advantage of that. It doesn't matter how much time you spend poring over the stats and planning strategies if you can't keep the pace, and our winner today showed they could do both.
And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today, and a stunning win for Ferrari.
Right, so looking at the final race results, Sebastian Vettel wins the Chinese Grand Prix, George Russell P2, and we managed to just hold on to a third place with a last-ditch dive bomb on Verstappen and somehow getting the car slowed down and keeping it within track limits. Verstappen P4, he brings home the fastest lap, so he does score an extra point. Carlos Sainz P5, Pierre Gasly P6, hallelujah, finally points for the second Williams car. I don't know how it happened. In the race where it probably looked least likely because he started P17, he's actually scored points. So fair play, GG's to Gasly, well done. And I think his strategy was really, really strong as well on the two-stopper. That tells me he just started the race in the hards and went on to the inters probably. So well done to Gasly there, finally scoring points and beating Kevin Magnussen there by literally a tenth of a second. And very, very close between those two guys. Hamilton 8th, Raikkonen 9th, and Perez scoring the final point there for Racing Point. And then we've got Ricciardo, Hülkenberg, Albon, Grosjean, Bottas, Stroll, Kvyat, Giovinazzi, all finishing outside the points with Norris and Leclerc retiring from the Grand Prix here today. In terms of the driver standings though, we remain on the top, 9 points clear of Sebastian Vettel, which is good. Perez only scoring 1 point, that's fantastic news for us. And also Gasly into the top 10 with that 6th place finish, which is good news. And in terms of the constructors, we are up to 2nd place. We overtake Ferrari and Racing Point, and Red Bull lead the way with 77 points, 13 points clear of us. But overall, guys, that is it for the race here at China. And overall, a fantastic day for both cars, and a podium again. 3 podiums in a row this season, a podium in every single race. Hopefully we can keep that up. Baku's the next race, a bit more of a race where I can probably get a better result, I think. There's still a strong AI track, but not as strong as this one. It'd be a bit more like a Bahrain, that kind of race. But overall, a decent day at the office here today at Shanghai. And we're now going to move into the laptop and put some upgrades on, guys, for the Spanish Grand Prix in 2 weeks' time.
You're beating all expectations. Would you say we all underestimated you? Do you have any comments about the collisions? How did your team respond to the poor conditions today? Appreciate your time.
Okay, so here we are then on the laptop, and we have almost 4,000 points to spend, and we're going to spend them accordingly and planning for the Spanish Grand Prix. So there's a lot of upgrades in the aerodynamic department that we can make, and that's where Red Bull have a massive advantage than everybody else. So we're going to invest in these 2 major upgrades here for the front and rear downforce. So those are both going to go into the car, and those will hopefully take us above Red Bull. I still have 1,400 points to spend, so I'm going to spend those on minor ones for the next race. I'm going to buy this fuel consumption one on the engine. It's not a major upgrade. It's not going to result in direct performance, but we need to improve and get further along the R&D tree. So we're going to buy that one. We're also going to add this minor aerodynamic one on the car. Actually, no, we can't afford it. That's a shame. I should have done that one really. So my bad. I got that one wrong. I thought I had enough points, but it just went up in price a little bit. Either way, it's not in the world, and the upgrades that we do have will hopefully take us above Red Bull. It will be very close, but obviously Red Bull will probably upgrade as well, but the upgrades will help us definitely stay on top of things and stay as a top 2 team in the next couple of races. But guys, that is going to be it for this episode of Career Mode, and if you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like and also get subscribed if you are new for daily Formula 1 content, and also turn on notifications to not miss any videos from me, and also finally check out the YouTube videos on your screen if you have missed them. But other than that, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on my next episode very soon. But until then, it's goodbye from me.